This house right here, the porch is still the same, 716 Madison Street. My mom used to sit up and do our hair. She used to braid my hair on this very porch right here, guys. This is the alley right here where I almost lost my life when a police officer told me I would never live to see the age of 18 years old.
They hate when you elevate. You're stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, I had to go delegate. It feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed it.
Okay guys, so I made it to the car wash. Again, this is kind of, I got here at like 3 something this morning. Well, no, it was like 4 something this morning. I checked into my hotel room. It's currently just now hitting noon. So even though I only got like 4 hours of sleep, I wanted to wake up earlier because it gets dark so early now. That way I can show you guys this and that, and this. But, you know, doing this documentary, man, I never knew how to do it. I never knew where to start from. And I just decided, instead of having somebody to do it professionally for me, I decided to just come all the way back home and do it myself. You know, it was a long drive, but at the same time, I get a chance to spend some time with my son Damion while I'm here. And it's like a lot of stuff that I think of, I'm really hurt. This car wash that I'm at right now is literally 3 minutes from my mom. My little brother, and my son Deontay. That passed away right here in the city. I'm literally 3 minutes away from them. And it's like, I could actually feel it right now. I can feel it. And it really, really hurts, man. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it hurts bad just thinking about how close I am to them right now. You know, I've been thinking about so much, man. You know, it only took one person to change the whole trajectory of how I'm doing this documentary. About 2 weeks ago, I posted a video titled Documentary Part 1, but I deleted the video because of one person. The video, it only got like 3,000 views and like 1 day on it, but I deleted the video because of one person. One person came in the comments, they said, Mr. Cryer, this is not a documentary. A documentary is showing things, pictures and stuff. And when they said it, you know, at first I took it as they were just being rude because the way they came off to me. But when I thought about what they said, whether they was being rude or not to me, when they said this is not a documentary, I have to respect it, because what's a documentary if you don't have pictures, newspaper clippings or news articles, some type of proof other than just sitting there talking to a camera, telling people about this and telling people about that, when you can't prove anything. Like, you can't prove anything. So, you know, I'm gonna try to do my best, man. And again, I appreciate you guys being patient. So what we're gonna be doing today, I'm gonna be going to my auntie house because I have to collect some things from her, from my past, to be able to share in the documentary. And my oldest brother has some other stuff. And I'm gonna be sitting down with one of my other brothers, which is my younger brother. He's close to my other brother that passed away. And I'm probably gonna be taking you guys by the house that I grew up in. I don't think they're gonna let me on the property, but you know, I'm gonna try to film outside a little bit and give you guys a little rundown of where I grew up at, how I grew up, some of the things that's happened to me. You know, it's gonna be pretty challenging because, again, I've never did it before. This is like all new to me. I've never did anything like this before in my life, man. Especially like sharing some of the pictures. You know, I know how the internet can be really harsh. You post something, people will make memes out of it. They're gonna use it against you. But this one of those things where I don't really care. I'm gonna show stuff. I don't really care what people say. Neutral, there we go. Oh, by the way, this light came on. It's so cold out here, guys, that my tire balance light came on. That's weird. This truck is practically new. It's not even a year old, but the tire balance light had came on, making me think that one of my tires was low. But anyway, this is what it looks like going through the car wash, guys. Check out the different colors. I brought Damion through this car wash when he was like 6 years old. Y'all, he was so scared. He was literally spazzing out because he didn't know what was going on, man. But so I usually come here when I get off the highway, whether I drive my Mustang or my truck down here, I always come here to wash my vehicles. But woo, it's getting dark in here. I used to see people doing this prank. People used to do this prank, letting the windows down while going through the car wash. I wanted to do that one day, but I'm like, I don't know how they do it, messing up their beautiful vehicles. I can't do it. So now, it's rinsing my car off. It's rinsing off. Getting it all rinsed off. Here we go, here we go. Now here's where it goes slow because they got these blowers right here. They go extremely slow to be able to blow all the water off your vehicle. I'm gonna let you guys watch this vehicle right here in front of me. It's loud, so you guys probably can't really hear me. It's almost done, guys. So when I pull out of here, I'm just gonna do like a once walk around my truck to make sure there's no damage, scratches, or nothing. And then we're gonna head on to the east side where I was raised at. Finna go through downtown Fort Wayne, guys. I actually just got here at like 4 a.m. this morning. It was really dark outside, really cold. It's like 46 degrees where I'm at right now. Haven't been long left my hotel room. I recently just left the car wash because I wanted to clean my truck from the long drive on the highway. But one of the car washes I just went to is called Mike's Car Wash. I just found out that the car wash is down, so I'm going back to the car wash out by my hotel room before I get this day started. But this is our downtown area, guys. This is our Hilton. This is one of our main big old tallest buildings in the city right here. Actually, this is the tallest building in our city. Ooh, it's a lot of traffic today, but I was really lucky. I was going to show you guys around real quick. It's not a whole lot to see. Our downtown is nowhere near the downtown of where I live at now, currently in Houston, Texas. But it's still it's a pretty hefty size downtown. And some of you guys might remember this area from when I used to live in Fort Wayne. Driving down the street, doing videos and stuff like this. This is our Wayne Center right here. We have a library that's coming up right here on my right hand side. I want to show you guys. My mom used to let us go to this library when we were kids, but this library didn't look anything like it looks now. This is a massive library for such a small city. This is a pretty big library, but this is our public library downtown. So I'm finna go wash my truck first, guys. And after I wash my truck, I'm gonna be taking you guys by one of the old houses I actually grew up in. And hopefully I don't get shot sitting outside, you know, trying to explain to you guys what's what and what happened here and what happened there. But doing this documentary, it really means a lot to me, guys. It do. I traveled a long way just to do this. Again, it's not professional, but it's very detailed, and it's something that, like I said before, you know, doing a documentary, this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, man. You know, I want to be able to leave more than just a video behind when I'm gone. I want to be able to leave a piece of me behind. So that way, my loved ones, my children, my grandchildren, they don't have to hear my story from anybody else. They get to hear my story from me. Especially my children, because my children have, like, I was bashed, like, to my children over the years, like, talked about in such a negative way. And at some point, they looked at me in a negative way as they were growing up. But now that they got to know the real me, I want to keep that going, because I don't ever want them to judge me based off of what somebody else tells them about their dad. I want them to judge me based off of what they know about their dad. So I'm gonna shut this off for now, guys, until we get to the car wash. And then, like I said, I just called one of my relatives because I'm trying to get some paperwork from him for the video. He has some old clippings and stuff that he told me that he had, and I've been trying to get a hold of him, but he's at work right now. So hopefully he'll be hitting me back, you know, sometime within the next couple of hours. I'm actually on the street that I grew up on. I grew up on the street, man. Jesus. I think we were over in this neighborhood for like 14, 15 years when I was growing up. I think we moved over here when I was maybe like 9 or 10 years old. And we were over here for like 13, 14 years. I remember even as an adult when I had my first son, I used to come over here all the time. And, you know, as many times as I've actually come to Fort Wayne, I have not actually drove down this street in so many years. But probably in 20 years, man. Like literally in 20 years. This house right here. This house right here is the house of my very first girlfriend I had ever dated. Her name was Stacy. She was the first girl I had ever dated. I was like maybe, I don't know, man, 14 years old. I was like 14 years old when we dated. But it was like the little kitty love where we used to, like, you know, just kiss and stuff like that, but it wasn't nothing serious. And so as years went on, I had got a little bit older and stuff, and I got out into the real world of the street life when I was like 17, 18 years old. I decided to get out into the real street life as far as like hanging out at night, staying up late, you know, selling dope, doing robberies. And on this very street right here, this very street, I'm almost at my house where I was raised at. But on this very, very street I grew up, there was this guy, he lived across the street from my mom. And he stayed with his mom. I mean, he had stayed with his mother and her husband. And the guy and my mom was real, real cool. They was real cool. Like, he used to come over and smoke weed and stuff. They used to drink and stuff. And everybody used to be partying on the porch or whatever, because we had like a big old porch. I don't know how the house looks now, but when we get down there, if that porch is still the same, you know, that's going to bring back some serious memories. But I remember one time he came across the street to my mom's house because he wanted to drink. And my mom's house was, you know, in the neighborhood, you can get your drink on at my mom's house. His name was Lenny Thomas. His name was Lenny Thomas. And so one day my mom, Taco Bell downtown had just opened up, and my mom gave him $5. Back then, tacos were only like 35 cents. My mom gave him $5 and told him to go downtown and buy $5 worth of tacos, because, you know, for her kids, which was me and my other siblings. And so, like, so much time went by, like an hour went by. Lenny had never came back with the tacos. So my mom was furious, like, where the hell he at with my kids' food? He had never came back with the tacos. And so sometime that evening, we started seeing all these flashing lights, just crazy. And we didn't know what was going on. And this house right here, 505 Madison Street, it is still the same exact house. There was a flower bed sitting right there where that water meter is at. There was a flower bed. And you see this house is sectioned off to like a duplex. Like there's multiple units in this. That unit right there held the occupants of some drug dealers. And apparently, instead of Lenny taking the $5 going to Taco Bell, he decided to stop off here and buy him a piece of, you know, drugs. And so we don't know the story about what happened because I was too young to remember the whole story in detail, but they had found his body in a flower bed right there where that water meter is. I remember me and my mom and them all walked down here that night when we seen the flashing lights, and they had a sheet over him and stuff. My mom made us walk back home. You know, and this house right here has a lot of history because there was this girl I grew up with. Her name was Tangi Ash. You know, she was a sweetheart, and I remember Tangi, she didn't like me at all. Tangi, she hated my guts because when Deontay, mom was pregnant with Deontay, Tangi had lived downstairs from us in the projects. We had lived in the projects when my son Deontay was born. And the projects is called Eaton Green. It's like where all the shootings went down and all the crazy stuff. And I was like 18, 19 years old. And so Tangi had lived downstairs from us. And her and my son's mom, Sabrina, they stayed into it. They constantly stayed into it because, you know, Tangi didn't, you know, she couldn't stand me. And so one time me and Tangi, you know, Tangi moved into the same house right here, guys, where they found Lenny's body at. But this was years later. Tangi moved into this house. I think she stayed right there. So I used to come over here, man, and we used to smoke, get our little buzz on and stuff. And Tangi and her boyfriend used to go back and forth, back and forth. I think she had like 2 kids by him. And so one time I came down here to visit Tangi, and they said that she had passed away. She had killed herself. She had took her own life. And so I would never forget that. So this house right here actually was tragedy to 2 people that I actually knew very well, you know. But when you would think that things have changed in this neighborhood, man, nothing's changed at all. Everything is still the freaking same. The houses is still the same. Like normally you would think that they done tore everything down, people reinvested, but everything is still the same. So now we finna go 3 blocks up the street where I grew up at. And I'm trying to be careful while I'm doing this because I'm actually sitting outside these people's house doing this, and I don't know if I'm gonna be getting side-eyed or whatever, but I'm gonna try to keep it going for you guys. Guys, it feels so crazy, man, to be walking down the street I grew up in. It's been 20 plus, maybe 25, 30 years since I walked the street. Right now, I'm on the corner of Madison and Francis Street, right here where I grew up at. Show you guys the sign. This right here is Madison and Francis Street. I grew up on this very block right here. This is house right here we used to come to when I was a kid. The family who owned this house or lived in this house years ago were the Ingalls. They were a well-known family in this area. And when I used to come over at this house and play arcade games with my friend, his name was Bernard, and my other friend name was Lester. And like everybody in this family has passed away over the years. I know Bernard and Lester are still alive right to this day. And the house is over here. I used to walk down here, and I tried to be so cool when I walked down the street because this house right here had the prettiest girls. And even though I wanted to talk to one of them, I was always so shy. And I never really spoke to them until we got older. And it's crazy because like this church, there's a church over here, guys. I used to go to this church years ago as I was growing up. And the church is still the identical, exact same. Right here, this house right here is still the same. This house used to belong to a lady named Miss Maisie. We used to call her Miss Maisie. And she was like a hair salon lady. But this was the house that you can come to and buy soda for 25 cents. And she passed away years ago while I had still lived in the neighborhood. She used to give me $2 to cut her grass. Now I know you guys are probably looking like $2 to cut that big old field, but at the time, $2 don't seem like it was a lot, guys, but $2 was a lot of money back in the day. This house still stands the exact same as it did when Miss Maisie lived in this house. This is 730 Madison Street. The house I grew up in was 716 Madison Street. And we're gonna walk down here. I'm not gonna do too much in front of the house because I know there's people who live here now. But nothing really changed over here, guys. Everything is still the same. Like the house is on the street. It's another house right there. That was a good neighbor right there. She still lives there. Her name is Sylvia, and her husband Jesse. And right here, guys, this is going to be crazy. This house right here, the porch is still the same, 716 Madison Street. My mom used to sit up and do our hair. She used to braid my hair on this very porch right here, guys. My mother used to sit there and braid my hair on this porch, me and my brother John. This is the alley right here where I almost lost my life when a police officer told me I would never live to see the age of 18 years old. It was kind of crazy, man. So my mom used to braid our hair right here on this very porch, 716 Madison Street. Man, this kind of send chills down my spine even being here right now. This alley right here, the garage was green back. Oh my God, it's still green. Jesus Christ. My bedroom was right there, guys. My bedroom was right there. My other brother bedroom was right there. This was our kitchen area. Man, this is crazy, man. Look at this. The garage is still green, guys. I don't even believe this, man. Everything is still the same over here. The garage is still green. Look at this. It's the same original color. My uncle used to have an old Ford Mustang parked in his garage. That was parked in his garage for years. He never moved the car. This alley right here. Man, this is just crazy to even see this right here, man. I'm gonna get out of here because I got people staring at me. Nothing's changed at all. Like, everything is the same over here. There's the church again right there, guys. This is incredible to see this. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed at all. But in this alley right here, this very alley is where I almost lost my life at. The reason being is, oh, let me get in the light. I was telling you guys, my neighbors, they had owned chickens back in the days. They were called the Freemans. Their last name were Freemans. They also owned a restaurant right here on Lewis Street. And they had a chicken thing where they had chickens and stuff. And so they used to like ring their own chickens, like kill them and clean them and stuff. And so my mom boyfriend came out one day and said something to me. And I was one of those kids who didn't want to listen. I had a smart mouth. And I threw an orange at him. And then we had got into it. And I pulled a knife out on him. And so the police was called. I think my neighbors had called the police. My mom was going off and stuff. But the neighbors called the police. When the police approached me in this alley, I had my hands in my pocket and I had a knife still on me. And they were telling me, drop the knife, drop the knife. And I wouldn't drop the knife. So he pulled a gun out. He said, I'm telling you one more time to drop the knife from a shoot. And I had to be like 16 years old at the time. I dropped that knife and they put me in a squad car. I'll never forget, there was a squad car right here by the edge of this fence. And there was a squad car right along this alley line right here. And the police officer, when they handcuffed me, I got in the car. I was still huffing and puffing, talking crazy, being disrespectful. And the officer told me while he was transporting me to the juvenile center, he said, I promise you, you will not make it to see the age of 18 years old. And for some reason, I don't know why, but that's always stuck with me. It's crazy. This little balcony up here, me and my little brothers, we used to be on this balcony all the time playing and stuff. Man, this is crazy to even see this, man. You know, sometime to find out where you're going in life, man, you have to go back to the beginning. I'm gonna go over to this house right here. No, actually I'm not. I don't know if my old neighbors still live there. I heard that they did, but I'm not gonna go over there. I think that'd be a bad idea. But yeah, guys, it's crazy. Coming back down this neighborhood. The guy I was telling you earlier, Lenny Thomas, that got killed, the one that went and got the tacos, he lived in that very house right there, the brick house. His mom was a sweet lady. She used to buy me Christmas gifts all the time and stuff. Like little stuff for Christmas, like little candy and stuff. And the house right there next to it, Janir, she used to braid my hair when my mom's fingers started cramping up and she didn't want to braid. generics my mom used to pay her $5 or $10 to braid my hair back in the day. But this is just incredible, man. Nothing's changed. Like, everything is still, I mean, this is crazy to see these houses still here, man. These houses are still here. Man, this is crazy. So this is East Lewis Street right here. And this is a place we used to hang out at. We used to sell drugs right here on this block, man. We used to be all on the street selling drugs and stuff. There was a big old house right there where that empty lot is at. People used to play dice and stuff. And this store has been so many different names, but there were so many killings. Last time I knew, this was a restaurant. And I don't know what happened, but I'm gonna take you up the street on Lewis Street where I got stabbed at. And it's gonna kind of make sense of what happened. But I want to take you guys to the crime scene. This right here, I'm gonna pull up here and park real quick. This place right here is called the American Legion. This was a very, very popular party spot. I don't know if it is still now. Back in the day it was. So we're gonna pull up and park right here. So right there, this place is called the American Legion. This is the place, now as you guys see, I could walk right up that alley right there from my mom's house, and I'm right here at the Legion. Oh, just won't stop ringing today, man. So right here at the Legion, what led to my stabbing, Jesus guys, I don't even remember what year I got stabbed. I want to say it was maybe 1986 when I got stabbed, because that's when I was really wilding out, man. I was really wilding out during that year, but I do remember why I got stabbed. So, you guys know I ran with the gangsters called the Gangster Disciples. And our rival gangs was the RVL, which is the Renegade and Vice Lord. I'm trying to get this right. I should have brought my GoPro with me while I traveled, but I didn't. But the rival gangs that we beef with was called RVL, which stood for Renegade Vice Lord. And Gangster Disciple, GD, stood for Gangster Disciple. And so they wore red and we wore blue, you know. And so at the time, I used to run away from home, and I used to sleep in my cousin's bushes and stuff like that. They used to sneak me in the house when their mom went to work or whatever, let me sleep under the bed and stuff. And so one of the rivals lived across the street from my cousin back in the day, and his name was Wesley. Wesley was a real tall, slinky guy, but he was a guy everybody kind of feared, because not because of his size, but it was because of his height. He was just really tall, like a Snoop Dogg tall, basically. And so one day I had a beef on this side of town where I grew up at. And so even though Wesley was an RVL and he knew I was a Gangster Disciple, he was cool with my cousins and them because they lived right across the street from each other. So Wesley had this 32 automatic. And I'll never forget the 32 automatic, it worked, but it was messed up. It was one of them guns that jammed all the time when you shot it. And so he didn't have a clip with the gun, or you know, what they call a magazine. He didn't have it. So what you had to do to make the gun work was you had to cock the chamber back, put a bullet in there, a projectile, and then cock it back. That's how you shot it. So I was telling Wesley that I had a beef and stuff like that, and I needed a gun. So he was like, you know, I don't really know you that well, but I know your cousins because they cool with me. They live across the street from me. He's like, I can let you use this 32, bro, but bring my stuff back. So I ended up getting a gun from him. I kept it for like a couple weeks. I can't remember what happened to the gun. I can't remember everything that happened to the gun. But one day, I came to this club right here. Back then, as long as that you was like, you looked at like you was an adult, they'll let you in. Plus, they already knew my mom, so I was cool with everybody up here. So even though I was young, they still let me in. You guys know how that it is. Like, all these clubs, everybody in there is not above age, and you guys know that. But they be up in them clubs partying. So one night I walked in here, man, and I was in the door for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. And I ran into Wesley, and Wesley confronted me about his 32 automatic. He's like, bro, where's my gun at, man? And I was like, man, I don't have it anymore. And I tried to run out the door, but the club was so crowded that I couldn't get through the door. And he pulled his blade out and he stuck me in the back. And that was the first time I had got stabbed, you know. And so this whole lot was lit up with police and stuff, EMS. They got me to the hospital. I gave him the person's name. I didn't know his last name at the time. All I knew him as was Wesley. But the police was familiar with him from the other side because he ran with the RVL, Renegades and Vice Lords. So the law was very familiar with him. So my mom and them was all at the hospital and stuff around my hospital bed when they was, you know, stitching my stab wound up in my back. And they brought him in the room in handcuffs and asked me, is this the man who stabbed you? I said, yeah. So he had went off to jail, and I can't remember everything that happened. So, you know, years went by, a lot of years went by where I didn't see Wesley until I actually got into real crime that sent me to prison. And so when I wound up in prison years later, I ran across Wesley in prison, and we was in the same dorm. Like, you know, some prisons got cells, some prisons got dorms, and I was in one of the biggest prisons in the state of Indiana, which is Westville Correctional Facility. And anybody watching this video that's from Indiana, they know that Westville is the biggest prison in the entire state. And I was there for a lot of years. So when I was in prison, we seen each other for the first time since the stabbing, you know, and we just kind of laughed about it. But every time I seen him in the back of my mind, I really wanted to do something to him. You know, I really wanted to do something to that dude. I'm not gonna lie. I wanted to hurt that dude. But I don't know what happened to him over the years, if he's even still alive. I knew Wesley was a little older than me. So I'm in my early 50s. So I would put him probably at 55 to 58 years old right now. But so that was the first time I had got involved in, you know, getting stabbed and stuff. But that's not the crazy thing, because this same spot that I'm sitting in, which is the American Legion parking lot, it was also the scene to another crime that had involved me. So I went to school with this guy. He was maybe a grade or two ahead of me. He was a little older than me. His name was Steve. And we was in the back of this Legion right here one night, and we were young, and we wanted to pull a robbery. And they were saying that this guy had like 300 bucks on him. And back in the day when I was growing up, 300 bucks was like thousands, you know. And so I had this little 22 Derringer. You have to break it down and put 2 bullets in it, put it back up and lock it. And the only way that you fire it is you have to cock the hammer back on it in order for it to shoot. And so I was showing him how to shoot the gun, and the gun accidentally went off and it hit him in his hand. And so I had to go to jail for that incident right there, because he ended up telling his mom that I shot him. And his mom was at my mom's house, and his brothers and his sisters and his dad and them was at my mom's house, and they was on my top back in the day. And so they ended up, you know, locking my butt up, man. But it's crazy, man. But this is like, it's just crazy just to be here. But I want to show you guys something real quick. Oh shoot, my glasses. This American Legion post that sits right here, it's the same Legion, but it was a different building. The old American Legion, it used to be all the way up here to the street, and there was a big old cannon. Oh, there it is right there. Here's the cannon right here, guys. I didn't even see that at first. So this is the cannon right here. This thing was sitting here before I was born. I don't know how old this cannon is right here, but it's older than all of us. So the old building used to be really close up here, and that cannon has always sat there. It's never moved. It's always sat in that same spot. And right there across the street, that's the gas station now. There used to be a liquor store over there called Atkins. And like the guy, he was a real cool guy, man. He ended up selling the store to some company, made a bunch of money off of it and retired. But Yeah, so this is where I got stabbed at, and this is also where I was arrested at for shooting this guy. Even though I know what really happened, the documents reads that I shot his ass. But I think that was dirty because me and him was cool, and he know for a fact, this dude know for 100% fact that I did not shoot him. And if I did, it wasn't on purpose. I was actually showing him how to cock the gun back. He had his hand in the way, and the gun put a hole in his hand. So, you know, I still had to pay for that, and it was on my record too, so that's crazy. But anyway. Say what's up to my brother P.
How y'all doing?
So my brother, man, he's always been real overprotective of me. We always been overprotective of each other. But this is some crazy stuff that happened. Do you remember, bro, back in the 90s when me and you both was in jail, right?
Yeah.
So we was in jail, but we was on different blocks of the jail, so we couldn't really see each other. So one day, my brother, he ended up getting sent off to prison first, remember?
Yeah.
He got sent off to prison, so he was at RDC, Receptionist Diagnostic Center, and then like 2 or 3 months later, I got shipped off to prison. And do y'all know we both wind up at the same exact place? You remember that?
Yes, sir.
The counselors, they let us meet each other because we didn't know which prisons that we were going to. And so it was nice, like, it was almost like I wasn't gonna see my brother again, man, because it was like, can I please just see my brother? And they was like, well, he's light, so he can't be your brother. I'm like, no.
Right.
So they ended up pulling the records and found out that we were actually really brothers. That's why I say don't judge a book by its cover. He's light-skinned. I'm dark-skinned. We got the same exact mom, grew up in the same household.
Correct.
And everything. But this one right here, we did some crazy stuff, man. You know, and they never got a chance to meet our little brother Waffle. But Waffle was a beast, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was like the Hercules of the hood.
Yeah, he was.
I remember when I got locked up, man, my little brother Waffle was skinny. My brother was sending me letters telling me Waffle got big. I got out and seen how big my little brother was, man. It was crazy. But I was telling him how one time when I left prison, me and you was both in prison together. And my little brother think I just forgot about him. So one day I pulled up on him and gave him a surprise visit.
Came and visit me.
Was you expecting it?
No.
He was not expecting it, man. But that's pretty much it, man. I just wanted y'all to meet my brother. Y'all might have seen him in a prank with me like a year or so ago. Remember that prank that we did?
Mm-hmm.
But my brother, he really don't do like the camera stuff. So this will probably be the only video y'all will ever see of my brother. And again, this documentary is about my life and it's a one-time thing. So it's a high probability that y'all never see my brother in the video again. But he was nice enough to do this clip with me for 2 or 3 minutes. You know, because this is a part of my documentary. And even though he can't stand to be in nobody's camera, he was nice enough to still do this for me because he understands how serious this documentary is to me. Guys, in this next piece right here, like, it's gonna be like a little bit different, but this video right here is actually gonna lead to a part 2 of my documentary. And I have so many newspaper clippings and photos and stuff, it's just going to be too much to actually put into part 1 of the documentary. But you know, I really do appreciate my younger brother for stepping into the video for just a couple minutes that he was there, because I wanted to share that part of, you know, of my past with you guys, you know, and doing stuff with my brother like that. I wanted him to be a part of my documentary for a few minutes, and he is camera shy, so that's why he wasn't really saying too much. But in this next part, I'm gonna be telling you guys about the shooting that I was involved in, where I was actually accused of shooting at a police officer when I was 21 years old. That caused me to catch my very first felony that actually had changed the whole entire trajectory of my life. And one of the cases that had almost sent me to prison, that I had fought for almost 2 years. I'm going to be inserting a clip in this video of a newspaper clip from the Fort Wayne newspaper. It was actually on the Fort Wayne News too. You guys can pull that up if you want to look up. Just go on Google and type in, you know, my arrest that time when I was 21 years old, and you guys can see the full news article of it. But I had a situation where I was at a club one night and I was, doing my thing out there. And the club was really, really packed one night. It was just really crazy packed. And when I pulled up to the club, I couldn't find anywhere to park because the club was real packed. By the way, I'm talking loud because you guys can hear that music in the background. But I couldn't find anywhere to park. But it was one of those real warm nights, right? And I had my windows down. I had the music blasting, the kicker boxes in the trunk, doing their thing. And so the security, which is actually at the time he was a homicide detective here in Fort Wayne, but at the time he also did like nightclub jobs. Most police officers, they take on side jobs, like working at a nightclub or working at a convenience store or a mom and pop's restaurant. And so this officer, he was well known throughout the city. He was a dirty ass cop too. I still say he was a dirty ass cop because it was alleged that he had something to do with my brother's death at the time. So basically, I had the music up loud, the club was bumping, the parking lot was full. So as I'm pulling up in the parking lot and I'm driving around the parking lot and I'm trying to find somewhere to park, I had the music banging real, real loud, my trunk rattling. So this police officer comes out the club and tell me to turn my music down. And so, I'm like, man, listen, you ain't got to really talk to me like that because like he just went off on me. Now you in the club with loud music already. I'm in the parking lot with loud music. So how you gonna come out the club trying to yell at me? I mean, I get it. You a peace officer. We're supposed to do what you tell us to do. But at the same time, just because you got a badge and a gun, don't mean that you can't get your ass whooped just like the next person. And I'm not trying to sound tough, but it is what it is. So it's like a gun in the badge. You still have to be respectful to people, man, regardless what your status is. So I was like, listen, you ain't got to talk to me like that. And before I could get the words out my mouth, he reached through the window and smacked the hell out of me. I had a hoop earring in my ear at the time, not like this. It was like a little hoop. He smacked me so hard in the face that the earring had fell out my ear. So what happened was I was pissed off, man. And then he grabbed me by the shirt and pulled me through the car window. Now, mind y'all, I'm 21 years old at the time. So he's much bigger than me, And so he pulled me through the car window, threw me up against the car, got in my face, was talking crazy. At this point, I'm embarrassed. I'm completely embarrassed because now you got the onlookers at a bar coming out the bar trying to see what all the commotion is. This officer that snatched me out the window, I'm going off. He going off on me. And now I'm scared because his buddies are starting to pull up now. This dude, he calls for backup. He called for backup. So what happened was they ran my driver's license and everything. I checked out. I was cool. So they made me leave the club. I never even made it inside the club. So to make a long story short, I left the club. I ran into one of my guys. Now at the time I was heated. My earlobe was bleeding from him smacking me, knocking my earring out. So I went and met with one of my guys, right? And I was like, yo, everybody know who this cop was. And so like back in my day, a lot of people wanted to get his ass because he did a lot of dirty stuff, robbing drug dealers and all kind of stuff. It's no secret because it's all on the news about him. He's all over the news. Well, he was all over the news back in the day for being a dirty cop. So basically, I hook up with my dude. I'm like, listen, oh boy, he just smacked me, bro, snatched me through the window, and he gave me one of his sawed-off shotguns. He was like, you gonna go up there and then make some noise? I was like, yeah. So what I did was I pulled back up to the club, but I was not in the same car that I came to the club with the first time when the officer smacked me. I pulled up in a whole different car. It was my guy car who gave me the sawed-off shotgun. So when I pulled up to the club, I take the gun out the car, I cock it back, and my intentions was not to do anything to anyone or hurt anyone. But I wanted him to come out the club, and when he came out, I was just going to just point in his direction and just blow a couple off in the air, right? And so that's what happened. So when he came out the club, so the club closed. They called a last call for alcohol in our clubs here in Indiana around 2:30, 2:40 in the morning. So around that time, a lot of people, they'll leave the club around that time, or they'll stay until the club closed and they'll go out to the parking lot, drink beer, and they'll just mingle with like their friends and stuff out there in the parking lot. And so he opened the door. When I seen him open the door, one of my friends, Mike, had ran up to me because he seen me get out the car with the shotty. He was like, bro, what is you doing, man? You finna lose your life. And I was like, I was literally crying. I was like, man, he just smacked me out, my earring out, snatched me out the window. And Mike was telling me, boy, get your butt in the car and go home. I'm like, no, F that. So as soon as he came out the door, I didn't even point at him. I pointed in his direction and I let off a couple rounds. And when I did that, all hell broke loose. So basically, when I got arrested and stuff, they had me all on the news and pictures posted everywhere. So what happened was I went to jail. And I sat in jail for like 9 months because they gave me no bond. Because at the time, they charged me with some old crazy stuff. This officer said I pointed the shotgun at him, and I shot at him. Now, mind you, it's a sawed-off shotgun. If you shoot a sawed-off shotgun at somebody, buckshots, they're gonna come out and they're gonna do this. They're gonna spread. So that was a lie right there. And then he had another police officer that gave a fake statement who wasn't even on the scene, but he gave a statement as if he was on the scene. So they end up taking my case and they end up dropping it down to the highest class of the misdemeanor possible, but they gave me the max sentence on the class A misdemeanor, which was like 1.5 years. So I ended up doing that little time, man. And then, around that time, that was still like early 90s. And then I guess when that situation happened and I got out of jail, people was like people that I was in gangs with, they was tooting my horn, telling me, yeah, I was hard. You know what I'm saying? It was tough. And I had actually gained a little bit of street cred at the time. So I thought. I thought I gained street cred at the time. But that was not the case, man. What happened next, you guys would not freaking believe.